22. Every human being shall pay attention to the speech and the behavior of the human being next to them, in order to recognize them in their inner nature. 23. May every human being pay attention to the direction of a given promise, because only the human being who fulfills a given promise can be called respectful and sincere. 24. Once a human being lives effortlessly according to given rules of decency, of a written or unwritten form, that is full of much honor and is dignified and corresponds to an outstanding quality, both great as well as small. But if given rules of decency are only followed with strain or compulsion, that is impractical, in disdain of honor, and is undignified. 25. When one gives one's word, it is an agreement according to that which is right and equitable, and therefore one must hold to it and fulfill it in its full value. 26. Once a human being shows appropriate respect for another human being or a matter, they thereby avoid ignominy which could befall them. 27. Human beings who are knowing and wise, as well as educated in matters of creational natural laws and recommendations, and in things of life, and who live in decency and vindicate one's trust in them, can be thought of as models. 28. Once a human being strives to be a true human being, they do not search for satisfaction and comfort. Rather, they find in the wellspring of truth and knowledge a conscientious fulfilling, doing, researching, searching, finding, and recognizing. 29. A true human being nurtures thoughtful conversation and searches for the society of firmly principled human beings, from whom they can learn further things, in order to become more knowing and more wise. 30. Whoever maintains the rules of decency in defiance of their wealth, and also esteems and gives to those who are needy, or whoever lives in poverty and is of good cheer, and does not envy the prosperous ones their wealth, is a human being of honor, in dignity, and of respect. In the same form in which the human being saws and files, chisels and polishes themselves, they form their life and destiny. 32. It ought not to disturb or vex a human being if they are unknown and other human beings do not recognize them. However, it ought to dismay the human being if they possess no insight into human nature. Whoever speaks and teaches according to the truth and their knowledge, their love and wisdom, and according to their ability, is comparable with the sun, which gives light and life all around. 35. The creational natural laws and recommendations are given for all existence of all life, so that everything has its ordered rightness and evolution. However, the laws and recommendations made by human beings are only threats of punishment in order to attain a homogeneity of human beings and of their order, whereby, however, the rule is that one attempts only to avoid the punishment, while all sense of ignominy and unrightfulness is lost. On the other hand, the creational natural laws and recommendations show all directions of life and impart all necessary guidelines, so that the human being equally adapts to the creational natural order and makes themselves consonant with it, without being punished with prosecution for an evolution-related error. If human beings allow themselves to be led by the creational natural laws and recommendations, and become conscious of the recommendation of decency and of equality of all human beings, then they also develop a sense for ignominy and unrightfulness, and change themselves to the positive. because everything that the human being needs for their right and evolutive leading of life is contained in the creational natural recommendations. 36. When the human being thinks and acts rightly and is rightly brought up, and also rightly orders their self-education, then there are 7 quite definite values. 1. At the age of 10 years, the human being's sense is turned to learning. At the age of 20 years, the human being embraces the power of their ability. 3. At the age of 30 years, the human being is firm in their thinking and actions. 4. At the age of 40 years, the human being has left their doubts regarding truth and knowledge behind them. 5. At the age of 50 years, the human being knows the life-necessary creational natural laws and recommendations and follows them. 6. At the age of 60 years, the human being has comprehensively opened their consciousness for truth. 7. At the age of 70 years, the human being can accede to their wishes without ever overstepping the limits of that which is right and decent. This is the truthful development process of the human being during 70 years of life, if they live and manage their life according to creational natural law and creational natural recommendation and order. 37. Honor and dignity for the human being is this. One shows a human being decency, honor, respect, and love, as well as necessary help during their life, that, when they have passed away, one prepares a decent burial and one preserves a decent memory of them. 38. Patience is an important virtue which the human being must learn, and which arises out of wisdom, for which reason it means that truthful patience is reserved only for the great wise ones. 39. The human being must learn to be kind in wisdom, because the difference between popular kindness and low intelligence is only very slight. 40. Terrorism, anarchism, radicalism, extremism, fundamentalism, as well as slavery, oppression, and servitude, must vanish from the world, if human beings are actually to breathe freely and actually be free. 41. To have decency and respect for parents means that early, middle, and high-aged children show the parents decency, honor, and love, and are always a support to them, as is also given by the parents to the children. That the parents are given a decent burial at their passing, and that those left behind preserve a decent and respectful memory of them. 42. If a human being's knowledge acquired over time is good and dear to them, then they always endeavor to constantly acquire new knowledge, so that they can also be a teacher to themselves and others.